The hidden arsenal commander Sarah Mitchell floated silently in the command deck of the UES Thunderstrike, watching the deep space sensors track 3 unknown contacts approaching the outer edge of Earth's solar system. The massive warship hung invisible in the asteroid belt, its advanced cloaking systems making it appear as nothing more than another piece of space debris to any scanning equipment. Sarah had spent the last 15 years of her life preparing for this moment. She was 42 years old, a veteran of humanity's secret space program, and one of only 12 people in the galaxy who knew the true extent of human military capabilities. Her ship was just one of 47 vessels that collectively represented the most dangerous fleet ever assembled by any species in known galactic history. The 3 approaching ships belonged to the Zephyrian Empire, a civilization that controlled over 200 star systems and had been expanding aggressively across the galaxy for the past 3 centuries. Their ships were massive, each one measuring nearly 2 kilometers in length and bristling with conventional energy weapons and particle beam arrays. By galactic standards, they represented the pinnacle of military technology and firepower. Sarah smiled grimly as she studied the alien vessels. The Zephyrians had no idea what they were about to encounter. For 30 years, humanity had been secretly developing weapons and defensive systems based on principles that most galactic civilizations considered either impossible or too dangerous to pursue. While other species refined existing technologies, humans had chosen a completely different path. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Webb, Sarah's second-in-command, approached her command chair with a data tablet in hand. Webb was a brilliant engineer who had helped design many of the Thunderstrike's most innovative systems. His expression was calm, but Sarah could see the excitement in his eyes. "Commander, the Zephyrian ships are maintaining standard approach vectors," Webb reported. "Their scanning equipment appears to be several generations behind our intelligence estimates. They're not detecting any of our stealth signatures or energy-dampening fields." Sarah nodded thoughtfully. Human intelligence networks had been monitoring Zephyrian technology for decades, carefully analyzing every piece of equipment and every tactical doctrine used by their military forces. The aliens were powerful, but they were also predictable. They had spent centuries perfecting the same basic approaches to warfare that most galactic species employed. The Zephyrians used massive ships with heavy armor plating and overwhelming firepower. They relied on energy shields to deflect incoming attacks and used conventional propulsion systems that, while efficient, were limited by the physical laws that governed normal space travel. Their weapons were designed to punch through armor and overwhelm defensive systems through sheer destructive power. Humans had taken a completely different approach. Instead of building bigger ships with more conventional weapons, they had developed technology that manipulated the fundamental forces of physics. Human ships were smaller, faster, and far more maneuverable than anything else in the galaxy. More importantly, they carried weapons that most alien species would consider violations of natural law. Sarah activated the ship's communication system and opened a channel to Earth Command. Admiral Robert Harrison's weathered face appeared on the main display screen. Harrison was 73 years old and had been in charge of humanity's secret defense program since its inception 3 decades earlier. "Sarah, we're tracking the Zephyrian approach on our deep space networks," Harrison said without preamble. "Intelligence suggests this is a standard reconnaissance mission, but we're treating it as a potential first contact scenario." "Understood, Admiral," Sarah replied. "What are our rules of engagement?" Harrison's expression was serious. "We follow Protocol 7, allow them to make first contact and state their intentions. Record everything they say and do. If they demonstrate hostile intent toward Earth or human colonies, you are authorized to reveal our capabilities and defend our territory." Sarah had memorized Protocol 7 years ago. It was humanity's carefully planned response to first contact with potentially hostile alien species. The protocol assumed that most galactic civilizations would underestimate human technology and attempt to intimidate or conquer humanity based on that assumption. The protocol was designed to correct that misconception as dramatically as possible. "Admiral, our tactical analysis suggests the Zephyrian ships are equipped with standard military packages," Sarah continued. "Heavy particle beams, fusion missiles, and quantum torpedoes. Their defensive systems include multi-layered energy shields and ablative armor plating, nothing we haven't prepared countermeasures for. Harrison nodded approvingly. Remember, Sarah, the goal isn't to destroy them. The goal is to make them understand that humanity is not a species they want to fight. Make it clear that we have the capability to defend ourselves, but leave them a path to retreat with dignity. The communication ended, and Sarah turned her attention back to the approaching alien vessels. The Zephyrian ships had entered the outer solar system and were now broadcasting on standard diplomatic frequencies. Their message was being automatically translated by human linguistic computers that had been analyzing Zephyrian communications for years. Unknown species of the third planet, the alien transmission began. This is War Commander Vexhai of the Zephyrian Empire. We have come to assess your civilization for potential integration into our sphere of influence. Prepare to receive our diplomatic delegation. Sarah exchanged glances with Webb. The message was polite on the surface, but its underlying meaning was clear. The Zephyrians were announcing their intention to evaluate humanity as a potential subject species. Integration into their sphere of influence meant becoming vassals of the Zephyrian Empire. Commander, should we respond? Asked Communications. Officer Lisa Chen from her station. Sarah shook her head. Not yet. Let them get closer. I want them to commit to this course of action before we reveal ourselves. The three Zephyrian ships continued their approach toward Earth, maintaining a tight formation that demonstrated their confidence in their own superiority. Their sensor arrays were actively scanning the solar system, cataloging human technology and assessing military capabilities. Based on what they were seeing, the Zephyrians would conclude that humanity possessed basic space travel technology and primitive defensive systems. They would be completely wrong. Hidden throughout the solar system were 46 additional human warships, each one invisible to conventional sensors and armed with weapons that defied conventional understanding of physics. The human fleet represented the culmination of 30 years of research into exotic matter manipulation, quantum engineering, and dimensional physics. Sarah's ship, the Thunderstrike, was equipped with weapons that could manipulate gravity, create artificial black holes, and phase matter in and out of normal spacetime. Its defensive systems included shields that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and armor plating made from materials that absorbed energy attacks and converted them into additional power for the ship's systems. More importantly, every human ship was controlled by artificial intelligence systems that could process tactical information and coordinate attacks at the speed of light. The human fleet could operate as a single coordinated entity, with each ship instantly aware of every other ship's status, position, and tactical situation. The Zephyrian ships reached Earth orbit and began broadcasting demands for humanity's surrender. War Commander Vexhai's face appeared on screens throughout Earth as he delivered his ultimatum. The alien leader was tall and imposing, with scaled skin that glowed with a faint purple light and forearms that ended in razor-sharp claws. People of Earth, Vexhai announced. The Zephyrian Empire offers you the opportunity to join our civilization as a client species. You will provide resources, labor, and military personnel to support our continued expansion. In exchange, we will protect you from other hostile species and share some of our advanced technologies with your leaders. Sarah watched as Earth's leaders responded according to their carefully rehearsed plans. President Maria Santos, speaking on behalf of the United Earth Council, politely requested time to consider the Zephyrian offer and suggested a formal diplomatic meeting to discuss terms. Vexhai's response revealed the true nature of Zephyrian intentions. You have 24 hours to accept our offer. If you refuse, we will demonstrate the consequences of defying the Zephyrian Empire. We have conquered 47 species in the past 2 centuries. None have successfully resisted our military forces. The alien commander gestured toward his ships, which began powering up their weapon systems in a clear display of intimidation. Energy readings spiked as particle beam cannons charged to full power and missile tubes loaded with fusion warheads. The 3 Zephyrian vessels possessed enough firepower to devastate Earth's surface and eliminate human civilization entirely. Sarah opened a channel to all human ships throughout the solar system. All vessels, this is Commander Mitchell. The Zephyrians have just threatened Earth with military action. We are now authorized to implement Protocol 7, Prepare for Combat, Operations. 46 acknowledgements came back instantly as the human fleet prepared to reveal itself. Sarah felt a familiar surge of adrenaline as she prepared to show the galaxy what human engineering could accomplish when properly motivated. Webb, initiate decloak sequence, Sarah ordered. Decloaking in 3, 2, 1. Mark. The Thunderstrike shimmered into visibility directly above the lead Zephyrian ship, its sleek black hull reflecting the light of Earth's sun like polished obsidian. The alien vessel's sensors immediately detected the human warship and began analyzing its energy signature and weapons configuration. What they found made no sense according to their understanding of physics and technology. War Commander Vex High stared at his tactical displays in confusion as more human ships appeared throughout the solar system. The alien sensors detected power signatures that shouldn't be possible, weapon configurations that violated known scientific principles, and defensive systems that appeared to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. How did they appear without warning? Vex High demanded of his tactical officer. Our sensors should have detected their approach from light years away. Sir, they didn't approach, the tactical officer replied nervously. They were already here. They were hiding using technology our sensors cannot detect or analyze. Sarah opened a communication channel to the Zephyrian flagship. Her image appeared on Vex High's main screen, and the alien commander found himself looking at a human female who appeared completely calm and confident, despite facing 3 massive warships. War Commander Vex High, Sarah said politely. This is Commander Sarah Mitchell of the United Earth Defense Force. On behalf of humanity, I must respectfully decline your Empire's offer of client status. Earth and all human colonies are independent territories, and we intend to remain that way. Vex High's forearms gestured dismissively. Commander Mitchell, you appear to command a respectable fleet, but you are severely outnumbered. My 3 ships carry enough firepower to destroy your entire planet. I suggest you reconsider your position. Sarah smiled. War Commander, before you make any irreversible decisions, perhaps you should take a closer look at what you're actually facing. She activated a tactical display that showed the true extent of the human fleet. 47 ships positioned throughout the solar system, each one carrying weapons and defensive systems that the Zephyrian computers couldn't identify or categorize. Impossible, Vex High whispered as he studied the display. No species develops this level of military technology without following predictable evolutionary patterns. Where did you acquire these ships? We built them, Sarah replied simply. War Commander, humanity has been preparing for first contact with hostile species for 30 years. Every weapon system, every defensive capability, and every tactical doctrine was developed specifically to defend our independence against superior numbers and conventional military doctrine. Vex High activated his own weapons systems, and particle beams lanced out toward the Thunderstrike. The beams should have penetrated the human ship's hull and destroyed its command center instantly. Instead, something impossible happened. The energy beams struck Sarah's ship and simply disappeared, absorbed by defensive systems that converted the attack energy into additional power for human weapons. Your turn, Sarah said calmly, and fired a single shot from the Thunderstrike's main weapon. The quantum disruptor beam struck the Zephyrian flagship and passed completely through its armor plating without causing any visible damage. For a moment, Vex High thought the human weapon had malfunctioned. Then his ship's internal systems began shutting down one by one as the quantum effect spread throughout the vessel's infrastructure. What did you do to my ship? Vex High demanded, as his displays went dark and his life support systems flickered. I fired a quantum disruptor at your vessel's quantum infrastructure, Sarah explained. The beam convinces the molecular bonds in your ship's systems that they would prefer to be arranged differently. Your ship isn't destroyed, War Commander. It's just reorganizing itself at the atomic level. The demonstration had achieved its intended effect. The other 2 Zephyrian ships immediately powered down their weapons and requested permission to withdraw from Earth space. Vex High found himself commanding a massive warship that was completely helpless, its weapons offline, and its engines inoperative. This concludes our first contact demonstration, Sarah announced. War Commander, your ship will return to normal function in approximately 6 hours. I suggest you use that time to reconsider humanity's position in your Empire's expansion plans. As the Zephyrian ships limped away from Earth, Sarah knew that the real test was yet to come. The Zephyrian Empire would not accept this defeat quietly, and humanity would soon face the full might of an interstellar civilization that had never been successfully resisted. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when an unstoppable force met an immovable object forged from human determination and ingenuity. When Titans clashed 6 months after the initial encounter with human forces, War Commander Vexhai stood in the command center of the massive Zephyrian dreadnought Stellar Dominion, studying holographic displays that showed the largest military fleet ever assembled in galactic history. Surrounding his flagship were 800 Zephyrian warships, each one crewed by veteran warriors who had participated in dozens of successful planetary conquests. The defeat at Earth had sent shockwaves throughout the Zephyrian Empire. For the first time in 3 centuries, their military forces had encountered a species that not only resisted their demands, but had demonstrated technological capabilities that their scientists couldn't explain or counter. The Empire's response had been swift and overwhelming. Supreme War Leader Kethavar had authorized the mobilization of the entire Zephyrian military, drawing ships and personnel from every corner of their territory. The force approaching Earth represented the accumulated military might of 200 conquered worlds and trillions of enslaved beings who served the Empire's expansion. War Commander, reported his tactical officer, long-range sensors are detecting the human fleet. 47 vessels maintaining defensive positions throughout their solar system. Vexhai studied the tactical display with growing confidence. 800 ships against 47. Even accounting for the humans' advanced technology, those odds should guarantee victory. The Zephyrian fleet carried enough firepower to shatter planets and boasted defensive systems that had never been penetrated by enemy weapons. Open a channel to the human fleet, Vexhai ordered. Commander Sarah Mitchell's image appeared on the main screen. She looked calm and composed despite facing overwhelming odds, a fact that irritated Vexhai considerably. Behind her, he could see the bridge of her ship, which appeared to be operating normally despite the massive fleet approaching their position. War Commander Vexhai, Sarah said politely, welcome back to Earth space. I trust your ship recovered fully from our previous encounter. Commander Mitchell, Vexhai replied, the Zephyrian Empire has assembled its grand fleet to address your species' refusal to accept our generous offer of client status. You now face 800 of our finest warships. I trust you will reconsider your position. Sarah appeared to study something off-screen before responding. War Commander, I appreciate the Empire's commitment to this negotiation. However, humanity's position remains unchanged. Earth and all human territories will remain independent. Vexhai's forearms gestured impatiently. Commander, be reasonable. Your technology is impressive, but you cannot possibly believe that 47 ships can defeat 800. Surrender now, and your species will be treated with consideration. War Commander, Sarah replied. Before we proceed, I should mention that you're operating under some incorrect assumptions. We're not fighting with 47 ships. The tactical display updated, showing new contacts appearing throughout the solar system. What had been 47 human vessels suddenly became 470, as each ship split into multiple identical copies of itself. The Zephyrian sensors detected separate energy signatures and weapon systems for each vessel, but their computers couldn't explain how the multiplication had occurred. Impossible, breathed Vexhai's science officer. Matter cannot simply duplicate itself. They're using some form of advanced holographic projection. Sarah heard the comment through the open communication channel. I'm afraid that's not correct. Each of those ships is completely real and fully functional. We've been developing quantum duplication technology for the past 20 years. Every human vessel can exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Vexhai felt a chill run through his scaled skin. Even 470 ships couldn't match his 800, but the gap was now much smaller than he had anticipated. More importantly, the humans had revealed capabilities that violated fundamental physical laws as understood by Zephyrian science. You're still outnumbered, Vex-High said, though his voice carried less confidence than before. Actually, we're not, Sarah replied pleasantly. Computer, activate the automated defense network. The space around Earth suddenly filled with new contacts as thousands of asteroids throughout the solar system revealed themselves to be camouflaged weapons platforms. Each platform was relatively small compared to a full warship, but they were positioned strategically throughout the system and controlled by artificial intelligence systems that could coordinate attacks with perfect precision. Vex-High stared at his tactical display in growing alarm. The number of hostile contacts had jumped from 47 to over 50,000. His 800 ships were now completely outnumbered, surrounded, and facing weapon systems that defied conventional understanding. How is this possible? Vex-High whispered. Humans have been preparing for this encounter for 30 years, Sarah explained. Every asteroid, every moon, and every piece of space debris in our solar system has been converted into a defensive position. We've had 3 decades to prepare, War Commander. We used that time wisely. Supreme War Leader Kethvar's image appeared on a secondary screen as he transmitted from the Empire's mobile command station. The elderly Zephyrian leader looked furious as he studied the tactical situation. War Commander Vex-High, Kethvar, commanded, ignore their defensive positions and destroy the human homeworld immediately. Use orbital bombardment protocols to eliminate their population centers. Sarah's expression became cold and dangerous. I wouldn't recommend that course of action. And why not, human? Kethvar snarled. Because we've developed weapons specifically designed to counter that threat, Sarah replied. She activated another display showing a device that made both Zephyrian leaders step back in alarm. This is an experimental stellar manipulation system. If you attack Earth, we will use it to destabilize your home star. The device on Sarah's screen looked deceptively simple, but the energy readings it generated were beyond anything in Zephyrian experience. Their scientists had theorized about stellar engineering, but no species had ever developed the technology to actually manipulate the nuclear processes that powered stars. You're threatening to commit genocide, Kethvar accused. No, Sarah corrected. We're promising mutually assured destruction. If the Zephyrian Empire destroys Earth, humanity will ensure that the Empire has no home to return to. Your choice, Supreme War Leader. Vex-High realized that the strategic situation had completely reversed. The Zephyrians had come to Earth expecting to intimidate a primitive species into submission. Instead, they found themselves facing an enemy that had developed weapons capable of destroying entire star systems and the tactical doctrine to use them effectively. Perhaps, Vex-High suggested carefully, we should explore alternative arrangements between our species. Sarah's expression softened slightly. We are always willing to discuss peaceful coexistence, War Commander. However, any arrangement must recognize humanity's complete independence and territorial sovereignty. Supreme War Leader Kethvar cut into the conversation. The Zephyrian Empire does not negotiate with inferior species. War Commander Vex-High, you will attack immediately. Vex-High looked at his tactical display, then at Sarah Mitchell's calm expression, and made a decision that would change galactic history. Supreme War Leader, I respectfully decline that order. The strategic situation makes victory impossible and defeat certain. You dare disobey direct orders from the Supreme Command? Kethvar raged. Sir, Vex-High replied formally, I am relieving you of command under Article 12 of the Military Code, which allows field commanders to override civilian leadership when their orders would result in unnecessary casualties and strategic defeat. Sarah watched with interest as the Zephyrian command structure collapsed into internal conflict. Kethvar continued raging about disobedience and military protocol, while Vex-High calmly assumed supreme command of the Grand Fleet. Commander Mitchell, Vex-High said, turning back to the human officer. War Commander Vex-High, acting Supreme War Leader of the Zephyrian Grand Fleet, officially requests permission to begin negotiations for a peaceful resolution to this conflict. Permission? Granted, Sarah replied immediately. However, we should establish ground rules for these negotiations. Over the next several hours, Sarah and Vex-High worked out the framework for what would become known as the Treaty of Earth. The agreement established humanity as an independent species with full territorial rights throughout their solar system and any colonies they might establish in the future. The Zephyrian Empire agreed to recognize human sovereignty and provide formal diplomatic recognition. In exchange, humanity offered to share certain technologies with the Empire, specifically focusing on medical advances and agricultural improvements that could benefit Zephyrian civilian populations. The humans also agreed to establish trade relationships and cultural exchange programs. Most importantly, the treaty included provisions for mutual defense. If either species was attacked by external enemies, the other would provide military assistance. The galaxy suddenly faced the prospect of human weapons technology combined with Zephyrian military organization and logistics. The news of the treaty spread throughout the galaxy within days. Species that had never heard of humanity suddenly found themselves dealing with a new major power that had forced the mighty Zephyrian Empire into peaceful coexistence. The balance of galactic politics shifted overnight as civilizations reconsidered their expansion plans and diplomatic strategies. 6 months later, Commander Sarah Mitchell stood in the observation deck of Earth's first orbital diplomatic station, watching as delegations from 17 different species arrived for the inaugural Galactic Cooperation Council. The station had been built jointly by human and Zephyrian engineers, combining the best aspects of both species' technologies. War. Commander Vexhai, now serving as the Zephyrian Empire's ambassador to humanity, joined her at the observation window. The alien leader had become an unlikely friend during the negotiations, and Sarah had developed considerable respect for his tactical abilities and diplomatic skills. The galaxy has changed considerably since our first meeting, Vexhai observed. Sarah nodded thoughtfully. Humans have always believed that cooperation produces better results than conquest. I'm glad the Empire decided to test that theory. Your species has taught us valuable lessons about the limits of military power, Vexhai replied. The Zephyrian Empire controlled hundreds of worlds, but we never achieved the kind of technological innovation that humanity accomplished in just 30 years of focused development. Through the observation window, they could see the most diverse collection of starships ever assembled in one location. Human vessels with their sleek predatory designs shared space with massive Zephyrian dreadnoughts, crystalline ships from the Ethereal Collective, and biomechanical craft from the Symbiotic Alliance. What do you think the future holds? Sarah asked. Vexhai considered the question carefully. I believe humanity has shown the galaxy a new path forward. Instead of endless cycles of conquest and resistance, we now have the possibility of genuine cooperation between species with different strengths and capabilities. Sarah smiled as she watched a group of human and Zephyrian engineers working together to install new defensive systems on the diplomatic station. Humans have always been better at building things than destroying them. I think the galaxy is about to discover what we can accomplish when we have willing partners instead of reluctant subjects. The first meeting of the Galactic Cooperation Council began 3 hours later, with representatives from 19 species discussing everything from trade agreements to joint scientific research projects. The agenda included plans for collaborative exploration of uncharted sectors, shared defense against external threats, and cultural exchange programs that would benefit all participating civilizations. As Sarah took her seat at the council table, she reflected on the journey that had brought humanity to this point. 30 years of preparation had been necessary to defend Earth's independence, but the real victory lay not in the weapons they had developed or the battles they had fought. The real victory was in proving that strength could be used to protect rather than conquer, and that even the most powerful civilizations could choose cooperation over domination. The galaxy had trembled when human warships revealed their true capabilities, but it was hope rather than fear that now guided interspecies relations. Humanity had not just defended their independence, they had shown the entire galaxy a better way forward. The age of galactic conquest was ending, replaced by an era of cooperation that would benefit every species willing to embrace the possibilities of peaceful coexistence. And at the center of this new galactic order, human warships stood ready to defend not just Earth, but the principles of freedom and cooperation that would define the future of all intelligent life in the galaxy.